Guys, what's going on? It's Russ. So just wanted to do another quick video to talk about some of the issues that we see sometimes with mission statements. Before you submit your mission statement, I want you to use this video as sort of a checklist just to make sure that you are 100% on the right track. And so, first of all, I just want you to understand this is the reason why we do mission statements. Getting clarity on the outcome that you provide tends to be the biggest sticking point that most people have. It's really the biggest sticking point. So if you went through the clarity call and you're sitting there going, oh my God, I don't know what I do. I can't, it's hard for me to think in terms of outcomes. I've always positioned myself as a transformational healer, or I've always positioned myself as a business coach or sales coach or whatever. And thinking in terms of outcomes is really, really tough for me. Don't worry about it. You're not alone. Everybody goes through that when they come into Clients on Demand. And that's kind of the cool thing about this program is just learning to think of what you do in terms of the outcomes that you provide. Just that alone is going to put you head and shoulders above your competitors, because now you're going to be speaking in terms that your audience cares about. They don't care where you got certified or what your background is or what your method is or any of those things. The only thing they care about is the outcome that you are going to help them achieve. So that's why we have to start here. Everything sort of revolves around this. Now, one other thing I want you to understand is that the mission statement is just for you. It's just for you and us. So just for you and the team. Your clients are never going to see this. So sometimes we have people who agonize over every word of the mission statement and they want it to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. The only reason we do the mission statement is because we want to make sure that you're clear on the problem that you solve, who you solve it for, and how you solve it, right? So another way of talking about it is sometimes instead of problems, I speak in terms of outcomes. So in other words, what's the outcome? How is the person's life going to be different once they're done working with you? So the reason we do these mission statements is not because your audience is going to ever read it. It's because we want to know that you know exactly what it is that you do and exactly what that outcome is, because, as I said, everything really revolves around that outcome. Okay, so let's talk about what an outcome is. The outcome that you provide is the cornerstone of everything. It all flows from that. So an outcome needs to be four things. It needs to be specific, needs to be amazing, it needs to be measurable, and it needs to be an outcome. So let's go through these one by one. The first thing that needs to happen is that your outcome needs to be specific. Specific. So that means that it needs to be crystal clear and obvious what it means with no ambiguity whatsoever. I'll give you an example. If I say something that says, I'm going to show you how to get 5 clients in 7 days without spending a dime on advertising, that's really specific. There's no question about what that means. But on the flip side, if the first sentence of my mission statement is, I help people transform their lives and overcome fear to reach clarity and find happiness, is that specific? Not really, because that can mean anything. And the joke that I always say is Hannibal Lecter's idea of finding happiness is totally different from mine. It's totally different from Donald Trump's. Is totally different from Pablo Picasso's. So we want to stay away from those things. And we're going to talk about that a little more in just a second. But you want to stay away from those platitudes. You want to have an outcome that is specific so that when people read it and when you read it, we know exactly what you're talking about. I help coaches and consultants command $3,000 to $10,000 price points and attract clients at that price anytime they want. Very specific, very clear. That's what we're after. So look, if it takes you a little bit of thinking about that before you can nail it like that, that's totally fine. That's why we spend like a whole week on this. If you need to come to a Q&A call and kick it around, we can do that too. But that's where we need to be. We need to get you as specific as we possibly can. The second thing your outcome needs to be is amazing. And what I mean by amazing is that when your audience hears it, boom, they immediately want it. They immediately want it. So in other words, what does my audience want? Well, my audience wants to get more clients, so I can write a bunch of different outcomes around that. They want to charge higher prices, so I could say, I teach people how to command $3,000 to $10,000 prices for their work. They want to scale their business to a certain revenue level. I could say I help coaches and consultants build 6-figure monthly businesses, 5- and 6-figure monthly businesses. So it's got to be amazing. It's got to be so that when your target audience hears it, they go, ooh, that's what I want. That's what I want. So bear that in mind. Like when you say what you do to someone in your target audience, is that something that they're immediately going to respond to and say, yes, that's what I want? So it's got to be amazing. The third thing is that it's got to be measurable. It's got to be measurable. Now, measurable might not be the best word because we've had a lot of people go through this program who provide outcomes that aren't strictly measurable. So, for example, if you're in like spiritual coaching, you're not going to tell people, yes, I work with parents and I help them get 22.5% closer to God. It doesn't work that way. We don't think that way. So it doesn't have to be measurable, but it's got to be visible. And what I mean is that it's got to be a real external change in the person's life. It's got to be something visible, measurable, external. It can't just be a purely internal thing. So what I mean by that is sometimes we have people put in mission statements that say, hey, I help single mothers find happiness. And again, what does that mean? I help new business owners get clarity. Well, clarity about what? What does that mean? I don't know what it means. It's got to be something that happens in their external world, in their external circumstances. It can't just be about feeling better for the most part. Hopefully that makes sense. And then finally, it's got to be an outcome. And when I say outcome, what I mean is that it is an end point. It is something that your target, it's very specific, it's amazing, it's measurable and visible, and it's an outcome, meaning that it's an end point. It's not something that happens on the way to an end point. Does that make sense? So like, for example, I might say something like, if the outcome I provide is helping, singer-songwriters, write and professionally record their first song and, submit it to agents all over town. That's a pretty clear outcome. It wouldn't be something like I teach them the musical scale. You understand? That's something that happens on the way to the outcome. Another thing is let's say you work with people to help them save their marriage, right? That's an outcome. If you said something like, well, I help couples in distress find a great place to have dinner and have a romantic evening, that's not the outcome. That's something that happens on the way to the outcome. So hopefully that makes sense too. Specific, amazing, measurable outcomes. It's got to be specific where we know exactly what it means. It's got to be amazing, which means your target audience really, really wants it right when they hear about it. It's got to be measurable, meaning it's actually a physical change in their circumstances or in their life. And it's got to be an outcome, meaning it's an endpoint, not something that happens on the way to the endpoint. So let's go a little deeper into this and just talk about some of the common problems that we see. The first problem we see is that people speak in platitudes instead of outcomes. So a platitude is like a cliche. A platitude is something that any coach on the planet, any of your competitors could say, and it would be just fine. I mean, they could say it, you could say it, I could say it, any coach could say it. 99% of coaches out there are speaking just in platitudes, and it doesn't work. So if you can purge these things from your communication and learn to be specific and talk about the specific outcomes that you provide, you're going to be way ahead of everybody else. So just some examples of some platitudes here. Achieve your dreams. Any coach can say that. Reach your goals. Again, any coach can say that, and it could mean anything. Transform your life. Be happy. Get clarity. Unlock your potential. These are things we hear coaches say again and again and again, and they've basically become meaningless phrases. So when you're creating your mission statement, I want you to go back. You've probably already written it by this point, but if you haven't, when you're going through that clarity call exercise, I just want you to make sure that there's no platitudes anywhere in your mission statement at all. It's got to be clear. It's got to be specific. We got to know what you're saying. It's got to be a measurable, tangible outcome, okay? So make sure there's no platitudes in there. Achieve your dreams, reach your goals, transform your life, find clarity, achieve happiness. I mean, all that stuff, it doesn't mean anything and it doesn't move people, okay? The next thing we see is people focus on the how instead of the outcome. Now, when I say the how, what I mean is that the how is our stuff. The how is that thing that we're really, really, really excited about. So I might be excited about webinars or Facebook ads. You might be excited about transformational leadership. You might be excited about the type of yoga that you practice. I mean, all that stuff is just the how. It's the bridge. There's point A where they have this terrible problem, and there's point B, which is where you're trying to get them to. The how is everything that happens in between. So sometimes what we see is people mistaking the how for an outcome. So here's what I mean. Talking about how you work or how you do your magic is not the same as an outcome. Saying I do transformational healing is not an outcome. That's a statement of how you work. And believe it or not, no matter how much we care about that stuff, I mean, I can be super excited about automated webinars, super excited about Facebook ads, super excited about all this nerdy stuff that we teach here at Clients on Demand, but our audience doesn't really care. Our audience wants the outcome. Our audience wants the right clients at the right price anytime they want. That's it. That's what they want. So make sure that you're not confusing the how, which is a statement of how you work. I'm a business coach. I practice transformational leadership. I'm certified in XYZ. None of those are outcomes. The outcome is a specific, amazing, measurable outcome, measurable change in clients' lives when they work with you. And the third thing we find is that sometimes people mistake steps on the path for outcomes itself. So sometimes we see people talk about step 2 or 3 on the path to the outcome rather than the outcome itself. So for example, if you have a program that says, I help aspiring bodybuilders learn to bench press, well, learning to bench press isn't really that cool of an outcome. It's kind of like something that happens on the way to the outcome. Now, if they want to add 20 pounds of muscle, that's an outcome. Learning how to bench press might be like step 2 or step 3 on the way to that outcome, but that's not the outcome. Does that make sense? So it would be like if I had a program that said, hey, learn how to do webinars. Would I sell some of it? Yeah, sure, probably. I could probably sell it for like $47 or maybe $100. If I had a really great reputation, maybe $1,000. But you guys are not here to learn how to do webinars. You guys are here to learn how to get clients. That's the outcome you want. Hopefully you're understanding that difference, because it really is the key to being just another face in the crowd and being somebody who can stand out and command those premium prices we've been talking about. It's all about the outcome, okay? So go through your mission statement right now. Take a look. Use this video like a checklist. Is your stuff specific? Is it amazing? Is it measurable? Is it an outcome? Have you gotten rid of all the platitudes, all the stuff about achieving your dreams, transforming your life, and all those things? Get it out of there. Make sure that instead you're speaking in specifics. Specifics sell. Generalities do not. Okay? So I want you to go through your mission statement. I want you to purge out all that stuff. Take your time with this, guys. Again, there's a reason we spend an entire week on this clarity stuff. Because if you move forward and you don't have clarity and you start doing your Facebook ads and your webinar and your group and all these other things we're going to teach you in the next few weeks, if you start doing that stuff now before you have clarity, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess. And you're just going to have to go back and redo it. So give yourself the gift of taking some time on this. Think about it. Think about that outcome that you provide. I'll say one other thing really quick, and I didn't make a slide for this, but it's very important. Sometimes we have people come into this program who have a skill set, and that skill set can be pointed at many, many, many different outcomes. So for example, Jane is a great example. Jane Jewell, who's on our team. Jane has been doing like amazing transformational coaching with some of the most incredible people in the world for like 30 years. She's seen it all. She's done it all. If your business isn't working, she can help. If your relationship is a mess, she can help. If you're trying to lose weight, Jane can help. So Jane's got this incredible, wonderful skill set where she can create all kinds of different outcomes for all kinds of different people. Now, if that's you, and it's like, Russ, well, shit, some of my clients want to build their business, and some of my clients want to save their marriage, and some of my clients want to do this, and some of my clients want to do that. Don't worry about it. All you need to do is pick one outcome that you know you can provide, and that's what we're going to build our first offer around. It doesn't mean you're going to be pigeonholed into just doing that one thing for the rest of your life. What it means is we're just going to create one offer around it. Does that make sense? So you might, if you look back over your clients, and yes, you're a life coach, and yes, theoretically, you can help people with anything. But if you look back over your clients and you see, man, most of my clients have relationship problems, or most of my clients are female business owners who are trying to make their business work, or most of my clients are people who are overweight who are trying to get in shape. If you look back and you see that there's a pattern, just pick that. Let's just do that just for this one offer. Now, again, it doesn't mean that a year from now, you can't create a totally different offer about a totally different thing. If it's in your skill set, you can create as many offers as you want, but we just have to start somewhere. So just make a choice. Just pick one thing, okay? Now, when that's all done and you have your mission statement sorted, what I want you to do is click the help button on the right and send us your mission statement. Now, here's the thing. The help widget, the little widget where you can, type in your question, it cuts off after a certain number of characters. So if you put too much text in there, like if you copy paste your whole mission statement, it might not let you send it through. So what you want to do is open up Word or Pages or whatever word processor you use and save it there. And then attach it as a file to the help ticket. Or you can open up a Google Doc and give us permission to look at it, and we can look at it in Google Docs, however you want to do it. But I just want to let you guys know, because sometimes people go to try to paste their mission statement into the help desk widget and it rejects it. That's all you got to do is just attach it as a file. If it lets you paste it right in there because it's short enough, great. If not, just attach it as a file or upload it to Google Docs, give us permission to view it, and send us the link. All right, you guys, that is it for this video. I look forward to seeing your mission statements, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.